Ladies and gentlemen, this is part 8 of the Ark of the Covenant series by Michael Fazio. And the book that you can review anything that I speak about in any of my videos is Angels on the Ark by Michael Fazio, and you can go to that by clicking the link under my profile picture and reviewing the book. Now, what I missed or didn't get to in regards to part number 7 was the fact that we spoke about the candy canes above and to either side of George Washington's eyes being or having 4 dashes or 4 dots in this, depending on your eyesight, and 4 dashes or 4 dots on this side, which represent the 44th POTUS. We also spoke about the number 44 at the plateau and table of the Great Pyramid. So this represents George Washington as the first president, as the Alpha. This represents Barack Hussein Obama as the last president. Because once they remove the United States currency, aka paper currency, they're going to remove George Washington. So in fact, he was the first president to be placed upon the $1 bill, and he will be the last president on the $1 bill. They didn't do that with any of the other bills. They only changed all the rest of them and left him, because this is part and parcel of this remnant society's storyline in pictographs that describes the words in the Bible, the book of Genesis and the book of Revelation. Now, to go one step further, the number 44 represented as these 4 dashes and Barack Hussein Obama, that they want to remove the $1 bill at the end of times, or the times of the end, is because it has, the $1 bill has the words, "In God we trust," on the $1 bill. And at the end of times, they can have no cohesion between the peoples of this world, and they want to eliminate a belief in God and make you believe that the government is good and that the government is here to help you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we all know that's not the case. But that's not what this dissertation is about. What I wanted to point out to you also is that this does in fact represent what appears to be a Shriner's hat. There is a deep philosophical and mystical reason for this, discussed in my book in great detail. But we're not going to discuss that. It's not the most important piece of any piece of information. It just has to do with the angles, which all has to do with geometry and Euclidean optics, and the way that someone would utilize these tools if they were creating a pictograph such as this. The other measurement that I wanted to point out to you is that when you look at the base of the omega symbol here, on this angle, or on this angle here, this little line that appears on either side of George Washington's name, or the banner, this line that's between the tips of the compass tips, and this angle here, is in fact a perfect 44-degree angle. Again, the number 44 appears. And if you could see the measurement that is utilized, if you took a compass and placed it right here, just like that, this number is 44 degrees, 44 degrees. It has to do with something that takes about 15 pages in my book to describe, and it has to do with geometry and the way, or what is actually pointed to when you follow these lines up from the sides of the $1 bill this way. When you follow the line up, the line intersects at exactly the tip right here of the table, or the plateau, or the what is known as the mantle of George Washington's over George Washington's head. So this angle here, right here at the bottom, is 44 degrees. And when you intersect the dead center of this dark line inside that 44-degree angle, and you follow the line upwards, it intersects with the exact outside of the mantle. And it does this for several different reasons, which would take a dozen videos to describe, and it takes about 50 pages to explain why these numbers 44 is utilized as the angles between George Washington and these numbers or measurements or degrees in geometry. It also has to do with the centering of something that I can't describe here because it has to be done, it just has to be done differently. You have to look at it in a close-up view and understand why it happens. However, this is 44 degrees and this is 44 degrees. This is 44 and this is 44. There is no way on earth this is a coincidence, because it coincides perfectly with other measurements that also appear on the reverse of the $1 bill, as well as this dimension right here, which also coincides with the dimensions of the size of the compasses on the reverse of the $1 bill. They're identical in nature. There are measurements horizontally and vertically that coincide perfectly with the measurements horizontally and vertically of the God pod and the evil seed of death. Now, moving along to the next aspect of this omega symbol, before we go to the next axes or series of pictographs, I want to point something out to you, and this is one of my favorite pictures. If you'll notice, there is the face of the Egyptian god facing this way, and the face of the Egyptian god facing this way, which is relatively easy to see once you place something that divides this particular pictograph. You can see a face facing what would be your left or your right. This face here and this face here are two individual faces. However, I have denoted that these are the faces of what is called the beast, or the angels on the ark, that appear on either end of the Ark of the Covenant. Now, they appear there, and that is a reality. However, what you didn't know is when you turn this upside down, these faces become identical in structure and outline to the face of Tutankhamun. Now, that might seem a little bit hard to swallow, but I have an entire video called The Gods of Zolocraft that proved this. Now, what you see here is a face or an outline, thanks to D, that of Tutankhamen's face. And what you see at the base of Tutankhamen's face is his chin, and you see a forked beard at the base of his chin here. At the top of Tutankhamen's head, you see a vulture's headdress. So you have a forked beard and a vulture's headdress. These are real names, and you can look them up on the internet. However, when you take this face and go like this, the face is identical to the face that is facing either left or right. This is because this, what you see right here inside this circle, the top circle, is a vulture's headdress. What you see at the top of this Egyptian face's head is a vulture's headdress. What you see at the top of this Egyptian face's head is a vulture's headdress. And what you see here or here, coming down from the what would be the chin is the fork's beard that is described, that I have just described as the fork's beard and the vulture's headdress. These are real names. You can look them up. So this is the vulture's headdress here, and this is the vulture's headdress here, and this is the fork's beard here and here. But what no one else has ever seen also is, in fact, when you take this pictograph and turn it to a 90-degree side and place something here like so, the face that appears on the end of the vulture's headdresses, so to speak, is a Mayan or Incan god face. So when you take that face and divide it, as I just showed you, it doesn't become Egyptian anymore. It in fact becomes a Mayan or Incan god face. And ladies and gentlemen, at that point, you know what time it is, and I know what time it is. It's time for me to get a bigger camera.